What's going on, guys? It's New York Prepper here, and I have an urgent Ice Age alert for you guys. We have an Arctic blast coming down from Canada into the United States. And here you're looking at the National Weather Service map. And on this map, you can see that all these blue colors here, these dark blue colors, are freeze warnings, and some of the lighter blue colors are frost advisories, okay? So we have an Arctic blast set to hit the United States starting tonight and lasting through next week. Okay. I've talked about the possibility of a little ice age. I've talked about what the Maunder minimum was. If you don't know what that is, now's a good time to educate yourself. All right. The Maunder minimum was a period of reduced solar activity between the 1400s and the 1600s, which resulted in a global cooling period known as the Little Ice Age, where the river in London, the Thames River, would freeze every single year, and people in London would hold flea markets on the river, okay, every single winter. That's how solid the river would freeze every year, okay? Do I think we're heading for that? It's possible. And the reason why is that we are currently heading into solar cycle 25, which they now consider to be the grand solar minimum. And what that means is that the solar cycle 25 will not reach a normal maximum level that every solar cycle has. Okay. It's going to be a reduced solar cycle, which basically mimics the Maunder minimum. Okay. So a lot of people think that we could head into a global cooling period because of the grand solar minimum, which is going to start with solar cycle 25. Now, they don't know what's going to happen beyond solar cycle 25, whether solar cycle 26 or 27 is going to return to normal, or if they're also going to be below average, like solar cycle 25, which we just entered into right now. All right. We just finished solar cycle 24, which was also below average, extremely below average. And that's why we've seen in the last 10 years, the winters have been colder around the United States and globally than they were in the early 2000s and late 90s, when the solar cycles were much higher. We had warmer winters and warmer temperatures, and that's when we really had, Al Gore pushing the global warming agenda. But here you see possible record cold temperatures this weekend starting tonight. Okay, we have frost advisories and freeze advisories all across the Midwest. We have cold temperatures going down all into the Texas area and the deep south. Okay, so we need to be ready for this possibility. Okay, I've mentioned the possibility of global cooling on my live streams, and this is something that we need to prepare for, in addition to everything that's going on with the virus and, geopolitics and World War III and North Korea and Iran and all these other things. We have to prepare for the possibility of cooler winters over the next 10 years. Okay. Solar cycles typically last between 8 and 13 years. All right. So we need to be ready for the possibility of cooler winters over the next decade, and also the possibility of growing seasons being affected and food production being affected, which is not something that we need right now with this virus, where we already have, food shortages and stress on the food system, okay, on farming and food supplies. Now, if we have, let's say, an unusually short growing season, or if we have frosts that will last too long and damage some of the new crops that are growing, that could spell disaster for the fall time, in addition to having a possible second wave of the virus, which they say could now be a possible mutated version of the virus, which the Los Alamos lab has now identified 14 different mutations, and there's now a new mutation of the virus that the Los Alamos scientists have identified. as being more contagious. All right. In addition to dealing with that, if we have late frosts and late freezes in this country, we're going to have an effect on our food supplies. Okay. But nonetheless, I wanted to just share this information with you guys, and be ready for possible colder winters in the next 10 years. And the National Weather Service is officially saying that there will be uh, records broken, okay, or tied across various areas in the Northeast and the Midwest, okay. It says here that cold high pressure over south central Canada will move to parts of the Central Plains by Sunday morning. Um, the high will have an Arctic air mass along and east of the Mississippi River and is expected to usher in cold temperatures and blustery conditions this weekend. Numerous freeze watches and warnings have been posted from the Midwest to the Northeast, with record low temperatures possible over the weekend, most notably Saturday morning. In addition to the winter-like temperatures, parts of the Great Lakes, Appalachians, and Northeast will witness wintry precipitation Friday evening and into Saturday as the aforementioned surface low rapidly intensifies over the New England coast Saturday morning. Snow could fall heavily at times, with several inches of accumulating snowfall possible in the northern and central Appalachians. Temperatures will moderate slightly but remain below normal across much of the eastern U.S. on Mother's Day. All right, so we are expecting snowfall, several inches across the Northeast. All right, I know close to me they're talking about in my area possibly 1 or 2 inches of snow, which I've never seen in the month of May. Okay, and me personally, I've never seen snow in my area where I live in the month of May, and they're talking about possibly an inch of snow tonight. Um, I mean, that is just absolutely unusual. We do have frosts in May over here, but I've never personally witnessed snow. I do witness frosts and freezes in my area in May, but I've never witnessed snow. So that's something to think about. All right. And, be ready, guys. Okay. And I'll keep you guys posted with any other information I find. Take care. God bless. And don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere.